This one we put a couple different concepts together. We're being asked to calculate the expected value. And then, of course, you've got to do that first before you can calculate the variance. And then once you get the variance, you can get the standard deviation by taking its square root. Here's our random variable. So X is a number of red marbles that Susan has in her hand after she selects 5 marbles from a bag containing 5 red marbles and 2 green ones. So it's X is the number of marbles, number of red marbles, right? Number of red marbles. So she could she have 0 marbles? Well, or 0 red? No, because there's only 2 green, right? So let's kind of go from the back side. She's got the 2 green. How many red would she have? She would have 3 red. So then if she had 1 green, she would have 4 red. And then if she had 0 greens, then she's going to have 5 red. So these are the values that X can take on, 3, 4, or 5. There's only 3 of them. So we first have to calculate this because we need the probability distribution. We need the probabilities, the probability that big X equals little x. And then once we have that, we will be able to calculate the expected value first. We'll take these times each other, add them together, go to the expected value. Once we have the expected value, then we take each of these values, subtract that expected value, square it, and multiply it by the probability. That gives us the variance. And finally, we'll just take the square root. So maybe at this point, the hardest part is, and I struggle with this a bit in class, how do we calculate each of these? Because we have to go back to thinking of these marbles. And this was actually, to do this problem, we have to go back into exam 2. The last section we did in exam 2 was, we did a lot of bringing marbles out. So if you look at the review from exam 2, you'll see how to do this, but I'll show you here. Okay, so first of all, we got to think of this. We want 3 red marbles and 2 green marbles. So, and the way to calculate a probability, remember, is always a fraction. So the whole thing that could happen out of, how many marbles do we have? 5 plus 2 means we have 7 marbles in total. So out of those 7 marbles, we are going to choose 5. That's the total way, the number of ways we can get 5 marbles from 7. In the numerator, we're going to get how many red ones do we want? We're looking to get 3 for this one out of the 5. And then how many green ones? We're looking to get 2 green ones out of the 2 green ones. So this is going to be the calculation that gets us down here. I'm going to do this. They want 2 decimal places. I'm going to do this with fractions because it actually comes out pretty good. 7 choose 5. I think, let's say I did this earlier. It should be 21, but let's go ahead and do that. Let's go here. So let's do 7 math, because this number keeps coming up, right? It's going to be in all of them. Choose 5. So that's 21. It'll make these calculations a little easier. And I'll just put it over here. Write this as a probability. And then we just need to know how many are in the numerator. I think we're going to get 10, but let's go ahead and do that one. So that's 5, choose 3. Almost didn't read my own writing here. This is a 5, not a 3. Let's choose 3. And, you know, if you get kind of bored with what I'm doing, you can always fast forward, especially if you get to a place where, hey, I know all this stuff, I know how to do this, so yeah, just go a little further. but I do want to re-emphasize for anyone who needs it, how to use the calculator. That, again, that's a critical stage. And then we do a 2 math. Use 2, and I think we should get 10. We do. So we'll put that as 10/21st. Again, you could have it as a decimal, that's fine. We're going to do the same thing for 4, but we already know the denominator is going to be 21. This will be 21. And so for 4, in the numerator, let's just focus because the denominator is going to be the same for both of these, right? 5 choose 7, 7 choose 5. Yeah, out of from 7, we're choosing 5. In the numerator here, out of the 5 red, we want 4 red. And out of the 2 green, we only want 1. So that gives us 4. We'll calculate that. We'll see that that is 10 as well. So we go, because there's this sort of balance of things, symmetry when we do these things, these calculations. Choose 4 times 2. This is actually 1. The only way you can get both of them, there's only one way. You got to get them both, right? So if you did them, wait. I do wrong here. Oh, it's 2 choose 1. Sorry, that's 1. Yeah. So pay attention, little crow. Okay, let's try this again. 2 choose 1, not 2 choose 2. Let me go up again. Some of these are mistakes I make. Oh, when you make them, just find these quicker ways to come back. Let's just correct it this way. Not to retype the whole thing. Smart, I would have done that up there. 10. Okay. And then we're going to see what's left over. This is 20. This has to be only 1 because they have to add to 1. But let's just make sure. So we've got 5. Choose 5. Then we're going to multiply that times 2 choose 0, which is going to be 1. But that's okay. We'll go ahead and do this just to be sure. So we know that the calculations all work out. Yeah, that is 1. That's what it's supposed to be. And I think I was doing something wrong the first time. And anyway, come up with this. So this equals 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 times this. And the reason I found is when I do this, it makes the calculations a little easier. 3 times 10, right? You're just multiplying by the fraction. This is going to be 30 over 21. 4 times 10 over 21 is going to be 40. So I'm multiplying. Again, maybe I should show my work. I'm just going to multiply each of these, and then we'll add the results together. So 40 over 21. And then 5 times 1 is 5 over 21. And we now have some numbers that are kind of easier to work with. 30, that's 40, that's a 75 out of 21. And since they want 2 decimal places, we could turn it into a decimal at this point. We also could leave it like this because it might be helpful, I don't know. But let's go ahead and do both. 75 divided by 21. And a lot of times WebAssign wants you to leave it that way. 3.57 rounded to 2 decimal places. 3.57. And that's our answer for the mean. Since we're going to be using it, let me see, I can't remember if I put all the answers there, but I guess we could check. We'll check it at the end. We'll just keep going. And now what we need to do, sort of based right on here, is this is our mean. We're going to take each of these numbers as we go to calculate the variance. Do that right below here. 3 minus this going to square that, and then we multiply it by the probability. Not this, be careful, it's not this number down here, just the probability, 10/21. And again, you could turn that to a decimal. It's, but I'll just do it this way. And then this one is going to be 4, give myself a little more room, 4 minus 3.57 squared. And we'll put the probability 10/21. And then the last one is going to be the probability 1/21 times 5 minus 3.57 squared. We'll add all these together. That will give us the variance. And then the standard deviation, we could do just S, right? Do that, or SD. I like SD because it tells me we're going to take the square root of the variance. So let me get that ready to go. So we'll plug this into our calculator. Here, enough room. Let's clear this out. Divided by 21 times 3 minus 3.57 squared. Again, if you'd like, you can fast forward to the end and just, or a little bit, right? We need to add that 10 divided by 21. Sometimes this is the part that you might need. That's the part I need to focus on, right? 4 minus 3.57. I wish I could have your help, because when I make a mistake, you would catch it probably better than I do, because our minds think we're doing the right things and it doesn't always catch when we make a mistake. Divided by 21. I guess I'm fine without putting a times there, but if you need it, put it 3.57, square it. And again, I'll show just gonna, okay, so that looks correct. I got this one squared. That's correct. Going back through here, that looks correct. Okay, so I think at this point I can just hit enter. It gave the answer to us as 0.34. And it wants it rounded to 2 decimal places. It does want the variance, even though we don't use it, right, for anything in particular. Was that 3.34? Check. Yeah, 0.34. So we're going to take the square root of 0.34, and that will give us our standard deviation. We're all good. So then second square root of second answer, it's blue here, 0.58. So this was the mean. The variance. This is the standard deviation. And so then we come and we can click on here, 3.57, 0.34, 0.58. So that's the answers from the back. We got them all correct. And we're good to go on this one.